As we all know, Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith is the path, Anakin Skywalker's path, to the dark side. But on Road to Rogue One, we're about to take a dark and dangerous turn as we talk about Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones. So as you can tell, I don't have a huge deal of love for this movie. Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones is one of the worst pieces of Star Wars media to hit the screens yet. And that is why I have brought my good old friend along, this gigantic beer, because I'm going to need a whole lot of it to talk about this movie. Now, I kid you not, this beer once was filled to the very top. It had a lot of head, and the foam fizzled down into what can only be described as 3/4 of 2 pints. Why do I bring this up? Because that's exactly what Attack of the Clones is. Attack of the Clones is a big disappointment, much like this beer, because the movie was filled to the top with these ideas, and it had good potential, but it fizzled down, and what we got was such a terrible piece of Star Wars media that I don't even want to consider it canon. I have to because it's George Lucas, and that's what he came up with, but I'd rather not, and that's why these prequels to me are just the worst thing that Star Wars has come up with. I've seen the holiday special; it's absolutely terrible, but at least it wasn't. At least it didn't hide the fact it was bad. So let's get straight into Attack of the Clones. Has a loose plot. I mean, a lot of stuff goes on. It has a very loose plot. Basically, there's an assassin set to take down the Senator, and Obi-Wan's there, and he's like, oh, we have to take him out. Meanwhile, Anakin Skywalker and Padme are having a secret relationship. This is set 10 years after the first, so Anakin's no longer like 8 years old, but Padme, for some reason, is still played by the same actress and looks the same age. Okay. But anyway, so that's what we get, and also there's a secret clone army, which is probably the best part of the movie. Jango Fett is probably the best part of this movie. He is, he's fine. He's a good villain. He wasn't really touched upon, but he's the one part of this movie that could be forgiven, as well as Emperor Palpatine's rise to being the Sith. Those are the things that make this movie not into a piece of shit on my shoe, but more 2 pieces of shit on my shoe. Because when you've got a double piece of shit on your shoe, it's easier to digest. I'm not saying digest shit. I'm just rambling here. I'm saying it's easier to take off of your shoe because you're like, oh, at least it's already happened before. And that's what I feel about Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. That probably made 0 sense. I know what I'm talking about because this film just drives me insane. The worst part of this movie, and that is why I have brought my friend along, is just the dialogue between Anakin and Padme. I swear, take a huge swig every time you hear something like, let me think of one, just when Anakin's like, oh, my heart aches for you, and all that stuff. The worst thing ever, hang on. The worst line in this entire thing, oh, God, is when Anakin and Padme are on, I think they're on Tatooine, maybe. I can't remember the locations in this movie. It's just gone from my mind. But they're talking, and I shit you not, there is a line by Anakin. He's like, I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough. It gets everywhere. Yeah, that's a real line in the movie. Let's talk about some of the positives. There aren't many, but there are some. Samuel L. Jackson as Mace Windu. He's great, okay? Mace Windu is one of the best characters in this entire prequel trilogy. He's a typical Sam Jackson, the old, hey, motherfucker. He doesn't say that because it's Star Wars, but you get my drift. He's a typical Sam Jackson, brash, cocky sort of character, and he does brilliantly in the role of Mace Windu. Not that he's really given much to do, but he's like this old Jedi Master. He's sort of like the old Ben of this trilogy, apart from the fact that he's obviously not as old as old Ben. But he is absolutely brilliant. And, CGI on Yoda's not terrible. It's not great, but I mean, it kind of sucks that they gave him a lightsaber. I mean, come on, remember Yoda as this old Jedi Master who was a little hermit? And, That's what I want to remember him by, with the without the lightsaber, just with the little stick, and that's who Yoda is to me. So why bother putting him in this as some sort of I don't know. It was fine. I mean, it wasn't terrible. I'm just saying we could have done without all of that. But there is this like fight at this Jedi sort of arena, and it's awful. I mean, the Star Wars lightsaber fights, some of them are great. I said the Darth Maul one was great. I'm not saying the prequels have terrible lightsaber fights because they don't. I'm just saying the whole climax of this movie is just so bad. Like, the whole movie, they've set up this whole clone army, and you've got the clones coming in, they're fighting this big arena, and you're like, okay, this could get pretty cool. It doesn't. It's just colours flying around everywhere. You've got purple, blue, green, just flying around in random colours, you know. Anakin, Obi-Wan, Mace Windu, Yoda, they're all fighting in this arena, but it doesn't add anything to the film because you can't tell what's going on the entire time. When the clones are attacking, because it's Attack of the Clones, you know, it's like... it's anticlimactic because you don't remember. It doesn't stick with you like the best of Star Wars lightsaber fights and the best of Star Wars battles. You know, Darth Maul and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon will stick with you. Anakin and Obi-Wan from Revenge of the Sith will stick with you. Nothing in this film will stick with you. And then there's a fight scene between Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Count Dooku. And like I said, it's great to see two Jedi face off against one Sith. In this case, it isn't really. I mean, obviously, Anakin loses his hand in this because he has to, because foreshadowing of Luke. And I get that they had to do that, but they didn't have to do it in the way they did with that fight between Count Dooku. I find Count Dooku a pretty pointless villain anyway, because you've got Emperor Palpatine, who you're setting up in these movies. And in this one in particular, you have Jango Fett, who's the father of Boba Fett. So you do see a child Boba Fett in this film, which it was fine. I mean, if they want to set up future characters, fine. That's not a problem with me. They're setting up Darth Vader, fine. You can set up Boba Fett. But having Jango Fett in this movie was good enough without putting in Count Dooku, because he doesn't add anything apart from to be killed in the next movie, which I will talk about in the next movie review of Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. But it just feels a bit pointless to put both in this movie when you have Jango Fett anyway, who, okay, the Clone Wars have to happen. You have to have a clone, like, someone to clone for the clones, and that's Jango Fett. Fine. Absolutely fine. His death scene, however, most anticlimactic thing. There's this fight between him and Mace Windu, and Mace Windu just cuts his head off, and it's like, okay, I mean, he's wearing armor, so for a start, okay, maybe a lightsaber can cut through that. I can forgive that. But just having such a badass character, you could have continued him. I mean, he could have easily played Grievous's role in the next film. Not that I'm saying Grievous is terrible. I mean, I feel like maybe Grievous should have been in this movie instead of Dooku if they're going to have the two villains, because Grievous didn't really have much of a character in the next film. So it would have been better to expand upon him than to expand upon Dooku, who you're going to kill in the next film. But within the first, let's talk about that later. But, you know, it just seems very pointless to do that. So overall, Attack of the Clones is definitely the worst out of the prequels trilogy, because it doesn't have any cool lightsaber fights to go by. The love dialogue and the cheese, you know how I feel about that. And, you know, it's just the action scenes just don't work. The CGI is bad, apart from occasionally Yoda looks okay, like I said. Occasional good character here and there, but they get better in the next movie anyway. So there was just no point in this one happening apart from to set up the Clone Wars, but you had the Clone Wars TV show. So we didn't need this to do that. And we didn't need this to lead into Revenge of the Sith, because Revenge of the Sith, again, is set years after. And the same with the Phantom Menace. This was set 10 years after the Phantom Menace, so we didn't need the Phantom Menace to happen apart from to set up Obi-Wan's character. But that could have been done in this film through backstory. So I'm just saying this is the most pointless Star Wars movie as well as the worst in this trilogy. So, you know, as you can tell, I'm very disappointed in this movie. Ewan McGregor's great, as always, as Obi-Wan Kenobi. He is the one saving grace apart from Mace Windu and Jango Fett, and the characters that I said were pretty decent. The one saving grace of the entire saga or trilogy, this trilogy, is Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan Kenobi. So, at least there's that. Hayden Christensen, worst ever choice for Anakin Skywalker. He's the least Darth Vader person I've ever seen. The one actually good scene with Anakin is the scene with the Tusken Raiders, where they kill his mother, so he goes on a rampage and kills all of those. It was kind of a good bit of character development for him. But, as I said, he's awful in the role, so it didn't really have the impact I wanted it to have. So, overall, Star Wars Attack of the Clones, not a good movie. If you're a Star Wars fan and you haven't seen it, don't bother. It won't make you you're not missing out on anything. I mean, if you want to see the origin, it's Revenge of the Sith or nothing, because this doesn't lead in at all. So thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you guys on the next video, which I'm not going to spoil because it may or may not be Revenge of the Sith. See you guys soon.